Alright, we're asked to solve this quadratic equation. And so we're going to solve this equation really similar to the way that we do solve a normal equation. We want to try to move everything away from this x squared. When we get it all on the other side, then we can take the square root of both sides. So let's go ahead and do that now. My first step would be, instead of subtracting 2, I'm going to add 2 to both sides. That'll give me a 9x squared is equal to negative 54. Now I'm going to divide both sides by 9. What I'm trying to do is just isolate that x squared. So let's see here, that gives me x squared equals negative 6. Okay, well now that I have x squared equals negative 6, the way that I will get rid of this squared here is by taking the square root of both sides. So that's essentially x squared equals negative 6. I'm going to square root both sides. That the square root will cancel that squared, so that just leaves me x is equal to, now here's the big thing, we have to remember that when we take the square root of both sides there, that it has to be a plus or minus square root of negative 6. Okay, it has to be the plus or minus. Now, let's talk about this just for a second. Negative 6 is an imaginary number, and so what we want to do is we want to get rid of that negative inside of the square root sign. So I'm going to take this here, and I'm just going to rewrite it up here. X is equal to plus or minus the square root of negative 6. I just rewrote it, didn't change it yet. And we know that the square root of negative 6 is the same thing as x is equal to plus or minus the square root of 6 times the square root of negative 1. And we know that the square root of negative 1 is I. So this is essentially the same thing as x is equal to plus or minus square root of 6 times I, and we want to write that in correct form, so we'll do x is equal to plus or minus this I square root of 6. Okay, and that'll be your answer on this one. There's actually two answers. We've got a plus or minus I square root of 6. You could write that out as x is equal to I square root of 6 and x is equal to negative I square root of 6. Either way is okay. But you should be good.